cleared my cache and stuff, so that's exciting. Okay, that's there. Recording. Good. Imagine we just do all this and start recording. Alright. Hey bro, what's up? I'm Vin,
And I'm Jeff.
and welcome to our podcast. This week is about gambling. Woo! Everyone loves a little bit of gambling in life, a little bit of risk taking. And we got our returning guest, Emilio. Emilio's an old friend of mine, and here he is. Emilio, what's saying hello?
Yeah. Hey, what's up? I'm glad you said returning guest and not resident gambling expert or something like that. That's a better title.
Oh yeah. Alright, man. Let's just get into it. If you like to start with the quote of the week.
I was gonna say, actually, do you guys hear my fan or whatever in the background, or am I good?
No, hey, I edit these.
Oh, sure. Yeah, you can get my background noise out.
Bruh.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure. Yeah, the quote of the week. You guys had it picked out, and it was pretty good. Addiction begins with the hope that something out there, quote unquote, can instantly fill up the emptiness inside. That's by Gene Kilborn. I wanted to read that, but I wanted to add to it because, for me specifically, at least, I would say that it's the hope that something out there. That part I agree with, but for me, it's not the emptiness inside. It is this promise of a faster, easier route to financial freedom. And the sooner I have financial freedom, the sooner I don't have to go to a dumb job that I don't enjoy. So that's kind of the root of my gambling for me.
So we want to talk about it. Couldn't we argue that your want of getting out is some kind of emptiness of like you feel stuck in your financial environment right now?
It
In a way.
could, yeah, in a way, if you want to dig deeper, I would say that, yeah, in a way, it is a, how do you say, not a disenjoyment, what do you say when you don't enjoy things? Displeasure, a dissatisfaction with my current, state of life. Yeah, in a way, it is in hopes to escape the routine that I have right now. So, yeah, I guess in a way it is that. So.
It's an emptiness, right? You don't feel fulfilled in your
Right.
current financial situation.
Not necessarily the financial situation, but the financial situation dictates that I have to have a full-time job. So in that sense, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
And so, what did you like about the quote? Why did you pick it?
I think that it's the begins with the hope of something out there. That for me, that's what it is. Somewhat, I know it's a dumb quote, and we shouldn't focus on the positives of gambling because obviously this is about gambling being a difficulty. But they said that an addiction to gambling is an addiction to hope, because obviously there is the hope that you will win. So it's an addiction to hope in some sense.
Rather than the gambling itself, because if there's another platform where you can gain that financial freedom,
Right.
well then it's still gambling, I guess. But,
Right. Yeah. So yeah, that's what it is for me. That it's this, yeah, hope to, yeah, just hope.
Hope that I don't have to work a dead end job anymore.
Exactly. Yes.
I mean, that's it. Yeah. Jeff, what'd you think about the quote?
I mean, I definitely understand it, and with Emilio's addition to it, like, it definitely kind of resonates, and I could understand why somebody would gamble as much as they do. Because, like, yes, your odds of winning are very low, but you get that one big strike and a lot of your problems go away.
99% of gamblers quit before they hit it big.
This is true.
I should use that quote. Okay, that's it. No more. I won't make light of a very serious subject. There you go.
No, it's okay. It's all part of it. We don't want it to be all dark and gloomy.
Although, like, there are some cons to winning, like winning big as well. I don't know the exact statistic, but it's pretty high. Like, a lot of, like, lottery winners either end up dying or committing suicide within so many years of winning. On top of that, most people that won like the Mega Millions or jackpot or things like that, people you haven't talked to in 10, 15, 20 years come out the woodwork and sue you for no reason.
Yeah, that's true.
Jeff, you see in the chat, it looks like Amelia and I, they're not coming through well on the stream.
Oh.
I don't know if that's fixable for Twitch.
He said the same thing last time we live streamed, and I've boosted everything I can on my end to make the stream louder.
Okay, that's fine.
I mean, there's one other thing I could do, and then I would just have to turn you guys down in my ear. But I can.
Because it depends on where Twitch is taking the sound from.
Well, Twitch is taking it from my OBS, and my OBS is at 40% volume. Let me turn that up. Go ahead, say something, Vin.
Hello. How do I sound better?
Did that change it at all, Smoke, or no? Nope. Alright. Then there is nothing more I can do. I have it boosted every which way that I can on every side. You can still hear them though, right? Like they're just quiet.
Well, we'll just have to lip read, I guess, what I'm saying.
He's saying he can still hear you, so you're just quiet.
So yeah, so you were saying how you can relate to what the quote is saying, and everyone. And I think it doesn't help, right? It's because people have won, so it's like, okay, if other people can do it, then I can, right?
I had that later on too. Yeah, that there are people that not only have won the lottery, but there are people that Dana White is famous for getting banned from casinos because he was so good at playing blackjack. Like they won't, so that guy. There's a guy I know who's a millionaire named Bob, who in the 90s found this edge in NBA because it was before bookies got smarter and now they hire all these math nerds. They didn't used to do that. And this guy figured out some bet with the NBA and literally became like a millionaire gambling. This was in like the 90s. So yes, it doesn't help when you say, well, look at that person, they did it, so why can't I, So it's almost a pride thing to think I'm smart enough too.
Poker and blackjack, isn't that more skill-based? Like, yes, there's still obviously luck is involved, but if there's ways to manipulate the probability, right? The chances.
You're not really manipulating probability. It's just like you have to know the probability of what's going to come next and know like, okay, I've got a high chance that this is going to get me to 20 or 21, or there's a high chance that I'm going to bust if I take another hit on it.
Yeah, definitely poker. I think from the limited thing I know, I would say poker stands more in the skill-based because you're against other people. But blackjack, you are against the house. You're against the casino. And yes, it is skill if you memorize. There's like things you can memorize and learn. So maybe blackjack you don't have to put in that category. But the NBA betting one was one of them where... And there is like one guy that wrote a book on how he became a profitable sports gambler. Yes. Anyways, to your point, yes, it doesn't help when you see people have won. Like somebody just won the Mega Millions, a couple days ago, and Which, as a side note, I think it's funny that our society, we all get together and say, okay, we're gonna make one new multi-millionaire today. Out of all these people, it's almost like the Hunger Games. Like,
wait, we don't get together. What do you mean?
Well, I mean, like, as a society, we agree to make a pool of money, and not everyone, but there's a pool of money made where we all say, all right, we're going to pick one person to randomly win this jackpot of money.
But granted, we don't pick it. It's all the balls, I think, right?
Right, the balls.
It's random generated numbers.
We have agreed to make this game. That's what I'm saying. As a society, we agreed to make this game to where some person can randomly become a multimillionaire. That's a side. I just think it's funny.
Well, didn't the lottery initially start as a way to, like, fund... It was something. It was either, like, the military or, like, the education system. But way back in, like, the 1700s. That's what the lottery was initially used for. And today the lottery is funded by people buying lottery tickets. So
Yeah.
The first recorded public lottery in the West was held during the reign of Augustus Caesar from municipal repairs in Rome, 1466, in what is now as Belgium.
Yeah, I saw that same thing. Yeah.
Providing assistance to the poor.
I wasn't even talking about like that far back. I was talking about the first one held in the United States.
I think I know what you're talking about, the education system. And even now, I think they say a certain amount of lottery tickets, whatever, goes to, a certain percentage goes to, like, schools in California. Yeah.
Well, you gotta think how much they make off the lottery, because not only, like, you're purchasing the lottery tickets, so they take a cut of whatever is purchased, and then that total gets up to, you know, multi-million dollars, and then whoever wins it, they tax the ever-living crap out of it.
Yeah, they pay half in taxes, yeah.
So, like, if you win $100 million, really your take-home is, like, 50.
Yeah.
So that wherever that other $50 million just fucking went.
Yeah.
State and local lottery revenue in 2022 was $32.5 billion.
Yeah.
And where does that money go?
Yeah.
It's a business, right? By the end of the day.
I don't know if it's considered a business.
Because I think it's run by the government. Yeah, I don't think it's run by a private entity. Yeah, I think all lottery...
It's run by, like, the municipality.
the state government or the national government, yeah.
Yeah, obviously. Can you tell? I have no idea.
No,
Yeah,
it's all
administered
good.
by state governments and most states working together. Okay, there's a multi-state lottery association to run games with revenue divided proportionally among states. Okay, so it's a state thing. That's cool. Or not? I don't know.
Most I've ever won was $100 off a scratch ticket.
Mine was 50.
There you go.
That was off a $2 ticket too, so $98 profit.
There we go. Alright, so let's get started. So for the episode, if everyone wants to start, describe their relationship with gambling. Amelia, you're the guest. If you want to start.
Yes, I would say former. I would not put myself in serious gambling addict. I think serious gambling addict would probably be for, people that, lost livelihoods, relationships, jobs over this stuff. So I'm not in a serious gambling addict. I would say I had a minor, but starting to grow gambling addiction that I've been slowly weaning myself off of. Trying to think of where it started is a funny story. I really think it was like I was a kid and my parents took me to the racetrack, just, I don't know, whatever, let's go. And I think I won like $20 off a $5 ticket. And in my brain was just like, wait, you can just make money by like guessing right? Why wouldn't I do that? So that's probably what planted that seed years and years ago. And that's kind of, my relationship with it since. I've on and off sports betted, I've on and off tried to pawn some, roulette strategy that I thought was 100% profitable. I've tried flipping Pokemon cards. Actually, we can put that as a form of gambling. I mean, how is going to Chuck E. Cheese and playing Pokemon cards not giving people gambling addictions? Because that's, anyway, we can get into that. But, so I've tried all that kind of stuff, flipping Pokemon cards, and then obviously gacha gaming as of recently.
Well, I know in the States, video game gambling or gaming gambling is not considered gambling per se. So like Chuck E. Cheese, Pokemon cards, or even gacha games. But in other countries it is. I don't remember what country it was recently. I want to say Belgium. But they just banned loot boxes in video games because they considered it gambling.
Yeah. I mean, it is, so that's good. That's honestly good.
Alright, Jeff. You gambler.
I'm not a big gambler. Like, I've gone to the casino a couple of times. I've purchased, like, scratch tickets here and there, but I've never considered myself a big gambler. Because even the few times that I went to the casino, it was with other people who wanted to go. I never went because I was just like, oh, let's go to the casino. And every time I've gone, I've given myself a set dollar limit. Like, if I walk in with $50, which I know is not much in a casino, but just as an example, if I walk in with $50 and I play the slots or the tables with that $50, when that $50 is gone, I'm done. Because I don't want to sit there and be like, oh, one more, oh, one more, oh, one more. With, like, the scratch tickets, it used to just be a thing when I was in the military. Once a month, I would just buy a scratch-off ticket, like a $20 ticket. So I wouldn't consider that as an addiction. I think my biggest addiction to gambling was the gacha games, specifically Genshin Impact.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really play it anymore. I kind of got away from it because I was putting way too much money into it. So I took a break for a while and just never went back. But at one point, like, I was putting easily $100 a month into it.
Oh my god.
Alright, so both of y'all, how much total have y'all spent on Genshin?
On Genshin, if I had to guess, like, give a rough estimate, I'd say probably close to $1,000.
Okay, well, here's more I'll kind of share a little more. I am fortunate that my one saving grace to save me from gambling addiction is how cheap and practical I am, and not sometimes in a good way, sometimes in a bad way. I actually, for the first year when I played Genshin, I didn't spend $1. I actually made money playing Genshin because other people would pay me to farm their accounts. I didn't know it was a gacha game. I didn't know what gacha game meant. I've maybe spent $60 because there's like a $5 monthly pass you can buy. That's like the best value. Because if you're like, hey, day of, this character's out, and you swipe then, you got to drop like the equivalent of I think about $15 to $20. But what $5 could get you over the month? So I am fortunate. I've only spent like $5. I know people that have spent like $8,000 or $10,000 though. So.
8 or 10,000?
8 or 10.
Oh yeah, there's because like in that game, like I don't know if you've played it, but there are like the rarer 5-star characters, and on top of just getting that character, you have to then get that character 6 more times to fully level them up. And there are people out there. Yeah, same thing with their weapon. You need like the weapon and then 6 more copies of the weapon. Your chances of getting those are like 2%.
Maybe less than that. I think it's less than 1.
It's very low, and there are people out there that have every single character with every single weapon fully maxed out, which means they have gotten that 1%. However many characters there are times 7, plus weapons times 7, and each individual pull on that is like what, $1, $2, something like that.
I'd have to do the math. Like I said, it depends on if you card swiped right away or if you. I do hope that this gotcha stuff comes more to light because it's terrible. As a longer story, there is a hard pity. So if you plan ahead, you'll know. Hey, if I have this many pulls, I'm guaranteed to get them. I can hit early. If I hit it early, great, I save money. Or you'll hard pity, and in this many, you are guaranteed to get that character. The thing is with the weapon, I guess when the game first came out, there was no hard pity on the weapon. So one guy had to drop like $800 to get the weapon. Maybe you'll cap at like 200, I think, depending on how. But there used to be no hard pity for the weapon.
Hard pity's 180.
Yeah, 180 pulls.
So you have soft pity at 90, hard pity at 180.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's the whole gotcha story, which we can do more now or later. But yeah, gotcha games for sure can get bad.
I feel like I need to defend myself here a minute, though. That $1,000 was spread over a long time. It was not all at once. It was spread over a few years.
But even then, yeah. No, I know that is, yeah.
Yeah, that's minute in the whole realm of gambling addiction. So.
Yeah. Okay.
With me, let's see. I was exposed to the concept of gambling through my dad. I've mentioned it several times. He's a huge gambler. I remember on weekends, like football would come up on Saturdays, Sundays, and he has his friends over that also did fantasy football, and they'd be screaming and yelling when their team hits and stuff like that, and I don't know how much he spent on football, and he's the one who showed me about scratch offs and putting. He's always wanting to ask me for numbers and stuff to put on for. I'm guessing like the what was it, the million Powerball, whatever. Then I was a teenager and I came back into town. This was times after my parents divorced, and I came back to his old work, and I talked to his old coworkers, and they were just kind of gossiping about him and asking if I've seen him and stuff, and I was like no, and he was like, and we became on subject about him and about gambling, and they said, did you know that he's gambled away over $1 million? And I'm like, that is so crazy. This was back in like 2010. So I calculated, I'm like, okay, if you invested all of that back in 1995, 2000, 2005, stuff like that, like by now he would be it'd be at like 10 million by now. So if he just waited and invested in it, he would be like a 5 to 10 millionaire right now. So that was so crazy.
Invested in what though?
Well, okay. Well, I mean, like,
S&P 500, yeah.
S&P 500 is like casually goes up, right? We could look up statistics. He would have made more than now when he's dirt poor, right? So,
I'm just saying, because like stocks is a form of gambling.
true, but he gambled
Risky
on
stocks.
yeah, he gambled on casinos and lottery.
Well, right.
Those are low risk. The high risk, low reward, or I guess high reward.
I would say it's high risk, high reward. It's just very high risk.
Yeah, very high risk, but also very high rewards, I guess. But I thought she'd have done the low risk S&P 500 or whatever, and made 5 mil, 10 mil right now, whatever. But anyways, then as an adult making money and stuff like that, I only buy lotto tickets on, let's say like birthdays or like a special, or like I feel lucky today, and I'll just buy it. So it's like a handful of times a year maybe. Did I ever get into gambling? I do some loot boxes once in a while, and like when I played CS:GO. That's not even maybe $100 maybe. So and then they do battle, like any game they do battle passes. That's not really gambling either. You just work your way up. So I don't really no addiction for sure. But I guess I lived around it, and I know the problems, because the worst I've seen it with my dad was that he would steal, for example, one of his relationships, it ended right before it ended. He had stolen $200 to go to the casino. His girlfriend found out and was like, hey, did you see my $200 at all, or wherever, because only you know. And he admitted to it. He's like, yeah, I went to the casino with it, and I was trying to make up for it, whatever. And that was kind of the last straw for her. So that's kind of my relationship with gambling is through my dad. So. Derp. Okay. So first question I had was, how does society look at gambling? What is the reputation for gambling addiction? How do we view it?
In the beginning, positively, but nowadays it has negative or no like connotation to it. Like for the people that just casually buy a scratch ticket or a lotto ticket from time to time, society doesn't really look down on them. It's just okay. It's your money. You do what you want to do with it.
Everyone does it pretty much.
But I would say like those who are deeply addicted to the point where like they're remortgaging their house to pull some money and go to the casino and end up losing everything. Those are the ones where society's like, what's your problem?
There was one time I went on a binge read on Reddit about gambling addiction, and the stories of refinanced their homes, sold their cars, saving their entire life savings was like $30K, threw that out. There was another lady, she just had a newborn, like 6 months old, but she was so addicted, she's like, okay, I'm gonna leave her in the car with the windows down, or windows like cracked or whatever, and it's like right by the door. She could see the car through the door, and apparently, through her story was, she would go to the door to check up on the kid and then come back. Like she didn't even go to the car; she just checked through the door window. I think it was like 6 hours had passed. It was a hot summer day, and the baby. Somebody passed by and saw the baby was like purple, kind of bloated because I guess the blood boiled or something like that. It was that hot. It was over 100, and then she got incarcerated for child negligence. So
That's
all that
messed
stuff,
up.
it's messed up. That's how bad I was reading through, and I was like, dude, that is so crazy.
Yeah, I've never
Yeah.
personally known somebody that's that addicted to it. I do have a cousin that frequents the casino, but he only frequents it because he always ends up walking away with money. I think last night was the first time, because we have this group chat, and everyone posts in there pretty frequently. I usually don't. I'm more of the observer because I don't really have anything going on. But it was either last night or the night before was the first time I had seen he'd gone into the casino and lost. Like, he sent us, like, the picture of him holding a stack of chips, and he's like, yeah, it's like $600. And then, like, the next morning, everyone was like, so, how much you win last night? And he's like, man, I lost my money last night.
That reminded
Man.
me of. Oh, go ahead.
No, are you sure? I don't want to.
I
was gonna
just
take it on a different
say,
tangent.
he reminded me of. My mom did take me out one time to the casino. I forgot to add this into my relationships, but she wanted to show me. We went to Las Vegas and took me out to one of the casinos, and it was blackjack. And she gave me $50, and she's like, "Here, put this in there." I was like, "Okay, mom, this is a lot of money in my head, right? I don't know what she's doing. I've never been with her to gamble before. I throw it in. In one hand, I instantly lost. So I lost that $50 at 30 seconds. Like I think I went over 21 instantly, and my mom dies laughing, and I'm heartbroken. I'm like, Mom, I just lost your $50, and she's just dying laughing because for her $50 is nothing. Like I don't know how much she's gambled out, but she has the funds to go gambling once, and she doesn't go because Texas doesn't have it, right? So she doesn't go often. So it's whenever we go on vacation, there's a casino, she'll go. But yeah, to her it's like nothing, and I'm like, $50 is for me a week's worth, 2 weeks worth of groceries. Like I don't know. That's all I was thinking. Was she just laughing? Like
2 weeks? That's like a day worth of groceries now.
yeah. So, but go ahead, Emilio.
No, yeah, that's why. I'm trying to think of how to expand on this because this is something I have struggled with, and I don't have the answer to. So I think now is probably a good time to talk it out. I don't know how I want society to view it because I have two sides to me. One part of me wants to say, kind of like alcoholism, we don't take it seriously enough because people, obviously sports gambling has become more and more legal in the last like 2 years. I can't remember when the decision was made, but now certain states you can just gamble from your phone. Gambling is legal. Texas is not one of them. So now you see it all the time. There's commercials every single day. Every single podcast covers it. Gambling is just more out there now. And people say, well, what if you have a gambling addiction and you see one of those commercials? Like, how are you supposed to, is that fair? How are you supposed to deal with that? But no one says that about alcoholics. I'm just sitting at home. I'm an alcoholic. A Michelob Ultra commercial comes on, so I don't know. I definitely feel for people that have strong addictions to it, but it seems like as a society we also say at some point you're an adult and you have to make your own decisions. So I don't know, can we protect people more? Should we protect people more? I'm also not a fan of banning it entirely. I think if you can handle it, it is fun. I love listening to sports podcasts talk about odds, stories of degeneracy, certain stories, not certain sad stories, but some funny stories of degenerate people talking about their worst night gambling. I always think that that's kind of fun, and so I don't know where I land, but so I'd be curious to hear what you guys think, because yeah, we're gonna face it more as a society now with sports gambling becoming more and more legal. So.
Going to ban it completely, I do agree, would be a terrible idea, because then we would just get illegal gambling rings that would pop up everywhere. Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
As for it becoming more available, like you bring up being able to gamble from your phone and stuff, I think there does need to be more protections around that. Because, like, who's to say a 16-year-old, like, because technically you got to be 21 to gamble. Like, that's federal law. At least I'm pretty sure it's federal law.
18. Is it 18 or 21? I can't remember.
It might be 18, but I know, like, some casinos won't even let you in the door unless you're 21.
Yeah.
So I guess that's why I'm assuming 21, but I think it might be 18, because I think you can buy lotto tickets at 18.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
like, with the being able to gamble from your phone, I think there needs to be more protections around it, like some sort of age verification would be a good thing.
Yeah, when you sign up for the app, you have to send in a photo of your license and a photo of yourself.
Okay, see, and I didn't know that. Like, I figured it's like 90% of the other things on the internet where you can just be like, yeah, I was born in 1992.
No,
I'm good.
A photo of your ID and a photo of yourself. Yeah.
But other than that, like, other protections, I think there needs to be caps on it. And I think that's a really dickhead thing to say, but I think, especially with those ones on your phone, a way to protect people there should be caps on how much you can gamble, like, at a certain time or within a certain period, so that people don't end up going above and beyond their means. Like, since they won't be able to create multiple accounts to, you know, get around it that way, since they have to submit a particular license, you know, put a cap at, like, I don't know, 1,000 a month or 10,000 a year, like, just to kind of put some sort of safety net there, so that people can't, you know, gamble away 50 grand in a year and lose it all. Like, it'd be a very difficult thing to implement, but I think it'd be something that could be explored potentially.
Yeah, I've thought of a self-imposed cap, because I'll share it's a longer story. I can't totally remember it, but there were a lot of these, like, Facebook games, or these kind of like a Candy Crush type game, and this one woman downloaded the game thinking she was playing an actual slot machine, but it's one of those where you pay money and you get the currency, and she's like, oh, I'm winning, let me go cash out, but she didn't read that you can't cash out. Yeah, it's just, they tell you, oh, you're playing for fun. She submitted to the gaming company, hey, I'm addicted to this game, I've already lost all this money, please close my account. And what they do is they call you, obviously, we've heard this term, a whale, and what they do is they make it impossible. They say, oh, are you sure? No, we don't need to close your account, like, let's think about it more. So, anyways, the point being, some sort of more, I agree with your cap idea of a self-imposed cap to, hey, when I sign up for the app, this is my limit, and for me to change it, I have to call, or I have to go see someone in person, you know, someone that knows themselves, to, like, some kind of self-imposed caps would be good. I don't know, but yeah, the point being, yeah, in some points, I don't know if they take it seriously enough. In some points, I think I also get mad when people just want to ban it. So I don't know, but yeah.
But it comes to the question of why just gambling, right? Because for credit cards, loans, and all this stuff, there is, I guess, a cap because of your credit.
Yeah.
So
there's credit cap. You know, I guess in bars we do that. If you're going to a bar and you're getting drunk, they kick you out, you know? So for alcoholics, we have some sort of net. Like you said, with credit cards, you could max out a credit card. They won't lend you any more money. So maybe, yeah, maybe gambling could do the same. So anyways, that's what I said. It's an unfinished thought, but
it's not a bad thought. It's just how to implement it, and why isn't it implemented? Because I'm thinking if you know, corporate America, it's like, okay, they want to make a profit, but it's like, if we have limits on credits and credit cards and stuff, then why not on gambling?
Well, because, like, in the casino realm, it's a business.
Yeah.
They make their money off you losing yours. Yeah. So, like, they would definitely hurt from any sort of imposed limit or credit system. Like, it would dip into their profitability, but yeah, I don't know.
Okay. So looking at it, why is gambling so enticing then? What about it is it's just that feeling of the chance to win? Are we talking about, is it that feeling of hope? But then, what about, for example, y'all talked about Genshin and stuff like that. So what about gambling is it that makes it so fun?
So I'm gonna go into two different directions here. One specifically with the gotchas and like that form of gambling, and then the other with actual gambling for money. The enticing part about it is the fact that I can take this $10 and turn it into however much depending what form of gambling you're doing. Because like a Powerball ticket's $20. At least I'm pretty sure they're $20.
You can get a $3 one even.
There you go. Powerball tickets, $3. The chance is extremely, extremely, extremely low, but I could turn that $3 into $300 million. That's what's so enticing about it, like for the cash gambling. Now with gotchas and Genshin specifically, I hate the gambling aspect to it. I would much rather, instead of me having the fucking chance by spending $50, I have the chance to get this character, make the character $10. I will just pay $10 for the characters that I want. Like I would.
Or trying to get it.
Exactly, and that's how they make their money. Like it's an amazing business model for them, but I hate it because like there's a certain point you get to in the storyline of Genshin. If you don't have 5-star characters, no matter how good you build your characters, you're not going to progress. Unless you have, like, the best artifacts, the best weapons you can get. Like, you can technically get through all of it without spending any money. It just takes a lot of effort and a lot of grinding. But having the 5-star characters definitely makes it more fucking possible. So, like, you almost have to spend money at some point. Or, like, you can earn so many free gems through, like, dailies and weeklies and things like that. Like, you could get like a 5-star character like once every 3 or 4 months just by playing.
Yeah, it's also the got something in my throat. I was gonna say with gacha specifically too, or like Genshin, it's you get bored of playing the same characters, so it's like, hey, this new a new character in Genshin came out. Genshin's supposed to be this kind of like medievally, Renaissance-y type game, and now this character just came out who she rides a motorcycle that can fly through the air and does like 1,000,000 damage. It's like, why would I not want that character? And she's way more attractive than this other boring 4-star I got 3 years ago. So it's the chance at hitting early. It's the, like, when a new character comes out, it's the fun of we all sit together, we've all been saving, some people swipe, me and all my cousins, we're on Discord and we're streaming. And it's like an event. All right, let's all sit around. Let's see who gets her in the least amount of pools. Let's see who gets multiple copies because they got lucky. It's the thrill. It's just the thrill of getting the thing that you wanted. That's why they say too. The email, all these apps, the email. The reason it's in that scrolling, and if I check my email, I can pull down, and the circle spins, and I see, hey, am I going to get a new email that says I got a new job offer? Am I going to get an email that my package showed up? Like, they designed apps and the scrolling to look like a slot machine. And so that's what keeps you, keep checking. Maybe I finally hit. For me, like I said, too, it just that promise of an easier path to financial freedom. That, for me, at the bottom line, that's what it is this, like, sure, okay, I'm going to work hard and I'm going to save money. It's still going to take me, if I'm smart, it'll take me 20 years to be financially free. So, do I want to wait 20 years, or is there a chance that tomorrow I'm going to hit and I'll be free tomorrow, So, it's yeah. Or something with gacha, like, man, I'll grind for months, but man, if I hit in that first 10 pull, I can use all those pulls for a different character, That chance to save, that chance to get something at a lower effort than it would have taken me it's enticing. Oh, and I'll say too, with sports gambling, it just feels fun to feel like I have beat the system and I chose right. Because it's like, it is that thought of, okay, I know the odds are against me. I know that they're in a room, they've got all these other analysts trying to make me lose money, but guess what? I knew that Drew Lock was going to throw a pick late, and I was right, and now I'm rewarded for my analysis and the time I put into studying it, and that feeling of I was right, that's also a nice feeling.
And I never got that far into sports gambling. The most I did was back in college. The Super Bowl was coming up, and a buddy of mine was like, I got $20 on this team. I was like, fuck it, I got 20 on the other.
Yep.
That's my extent of sports gambling.
Yeah, no, I can see it. I don't know why I don't relate. It's, yeah, you talk about Genshin and stuff, but then I can play these free other games that like they have the stuff where I can level up and everything. And it's I don't know why that feels more enticing to me than the chance of getting these characters. I don't know.
Oh, well, I'm with Jeff. I would prefer it to not be gacha as well. I would much rather have paid $60 for the game. And remember when you could buy a game for $60 and you got the whole game and all the characters? I would much rather have... No, for sure with gacha, I would much rather have that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I don't want the gacha at all. The reason I play it is because I like the gameplay, I like the world.
Community.
Yeah, the community, you're playing with friends. Oh, you know what? Okay, 2 side tangents to that. It is thrilling though. If the gacha's there, I can't not have it. I wish I could. It is thrilling to, like I said, I saved for months for this character, right? And now it is fun. We sit here and it's like, dude, like I said, if I hit early, man, that means, because you have to plan and say, well, if I'm going to pull for this character, I don't have enough to pull for that one. If I hit early, wow, now I can get that other one too. So that's a part of it. Inside of the gacha games, they've also built systems where, okay, I get a chest, right, you get armor. And if the armor's stronger, my character's stronger. Well, in old games, it was just, you grind and you get stronger. Now, it's like, this piece has these certain artifacts, and I have to gamble every time I farm for that artifact that I'm going to get the stats I want. And then I get the stats I want, it's a gamble that it will roll into those stats several times. So even leveling up is a gamble. Like, there's another game called Lost Ark. You get all the characters, you get all the weapons, but to level up, you need more and more material, and then, same thing, the pity is like 180 taps, they call it. Well, if you hit early, you save all that material, so then you can level up again. So it is gambling, and that's why people spend money so they can level up faster. So it's terrible. And I've heard even in FIFA, in NBA 2K, I've heard there's gambling in those games now, apparently, so it's terrible.
Speaking of those artifacts, that's one thing that drove me away from Genshin.
Yeah.
Was the fact that you can only do, it's like 6 domains a day.
Yeah.
I was going for a very specific artifact set for my main character. I did the same domain, the maximum amount of 6 times a day, every day for like 4 months, and never got what I needed for her.
Yeah.
So like that's how low your odds are in that game.
Yeah, it's brutal.
Every day, for months, never got what I needed.
I guess let me ask you this, Finn. While we're on that idea, because for me that the financial freedom part is kind of the big thing. Do you not, because I can get to that later too, how I kind of have moved on from that a little bit, not entirely, a little bit.
Yeah.
Do you not have any sort of, I guess it's because maybe you've seen, like you said with your father being such an example of the negative sides of it, do you not feel this like, if I gave you the choice of financial freedom tomorrow versus not, would you not, like, you get why people want financial freedom, right?
Right.
Okay. But for you, I think you maybe, do you just feel like you have enough of a grasp that you just know it's not possible, so you just don't even, like,
So,
consider it?
Well, we're on the subject of gacha games.
Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah, we can stay on the gacha games.
Right. So I'm saying, like, I don't understand, like, I don't care if
okay.
I'm grabbing this character for $100 when I could just buy, like, on League of Legends, a skin's like $5 to $10. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, that one, yeah. Yeah, and that one I agree with you too.
Yeah, and then, but then you said you agreed, so it's like, oh, y'all both agreed. So it's like,
Right.
oh, okay, never mind. We're the point is null.
Yeah.
With gambling, yeah, the risk is so low, and it doesn't provide me. So yeah, like I said, I play on holidays or something like that. So I play once in a while to that chance of you winning. It's everyone does that, right? But for me to not be addicted like my dad is because it's like, even if I won, what did I gain personally? Characteristically, is nothing. Is more
Right.
of like, oh, I just threw money at something and I got money in return, but I didn't grow as a person. I stayed exactly the same, or if not worse, because I don't know how much I put into trying to get that,
Right.
hundred millions of dollars. So, um, yeah. So that's yeah, no worries. So we're on the same page on Gotcha Games.
Okay. Yeah.
The question I had for you, Emilio, was so for
Oh.
listeners was League of Legends came out with a new skin, but they made it gotcha. So you had to roll for this skin, and for a certain like you actually get the skin, you had to throw in $250 to ensure that you got the skin. Otherwise, you could get it earlier. You spend less.
Right.
Amelia, why did you not get that skin?
Why did I not? Yes. For the same reason, like I said, my only saving grace, and probably the only reason I'm not the only reason I'm not a huge gambling addict is because I still am grounded in my pragmatism, practicality. Like I hate spending money. I hate spending money on anything. So for me, it was two things. One, I'm used to Genshin's gotcha system, which in Genshin, it's a little more fair than League, because in Genshin, I can spend $5 a month, and I could have started. Let's say we knew that oh my god, that Jinx skin was going to come out for like 6 months. I could have been saving for months, buying the $5 a month pass. I would have done it that way. That's how I do it in Genshin. I spend $5 a month. If you play the game, you earn a certain amount of currency. So I really hated that the only way to do it in League is you have 30 days. You cannot earn the in-game currency at all. It's only from swiping, and you could not buy the pass ahead of time. There's no. So to me, knowing that 250 is the hard piggy, and that there was no other way around it, that really made me mad. So I guess, like, had I never been exposed to a gotcha system before, and that was my introduction, I probably would have had no other basis to say, hey, this is fair or unfair. So that was a big part of it. The other part was, too, I couldn't believe for $35 I got 110 roll. That's, to me, in Genshin terms, $35, I mean, again, over 7 months, I don't even know. That's like a guaranteed 5-star. I'd have to do the math. So it just felt like such bad value. So I dropped, my limit was 35, and the fact that only got me 110 pull, that was what kept me from, as much as I want it, and I still want it, and you bringing it out now makes me think about throwing another $10 at it.
No.
So that is what kept me from rolling on it even more. Was again, same thing. I would have rather it been $20 guaranteed.
Right.
You know, here you go, $50 guaranteed maybe, but yeah, that's what kept me from pulling on it even more.
Gotcha.
I mean, I would have been happy if I hit early, obviously. Then I'd be walking around like suckers. I hit early, so then you know. But
Showing
yeah,
it off.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I would have gotten targeted in every game we played. Every game, people would be shitting even more than they are now. So. But yeah,
League.
good question.
Question for y'all was, why don't the losses overweigh that possibility of winning, right? So obviously y'all aren't hardcore addicts, so I guess we don't have a frame of reference, but I'm just trying to imagine. It's like, you know, we talked about those radical stories. It's like, you lost your house. Like, why wasn't the house enough for you to stop the gambling? Why wasn't your car enough? You know, so what up to, I guess mainly to Emilio is, well, the hard part is, I guess you don't really feel the loss, right? You're not really losing that much, except for this Jinx skin a little bit, right?
I mean, if you gamble smartly, put that in quotations, if you're never going outside your means, then the losses are never really gonna weigh into. Because, like, with me, like, how I would just spend that $20 a month to get a lotto ticket once a month, I'm not missing $20. Like, $20 a month isn't hurting me. Like, if I never spent that, I'd probably have an extra $300-400 laying around. Yeah, but like $20 every once in a while isn't hurting me. It's not putting me in any sort of bad situation. Whereas like the people who do put themselves in that bad situation, I don't understand how that doesn't weigh into like their frame of reference. Like especially like those that will like put up their house. Like to me, that's just nuts. Because if you lose, now you're homeless.
Exactly. But that might go into mental health, right? They obviously have something deeper lying with
Well, it's
in
it,
their head.
it it's an addiction. Like it's definitely a mental health disorder. Like why do people that you shoot heroin up continue to do it? They know they're killing themselves, or at least I hope they know they're killing themselves. But they're addicted to it, so they don't care the damage it's doing. They're just chasing that next high. It's the same thing for gamblers.
Right.
Even the gamblers that have never hit big, even if they've only won like $100, like they're still chasing that bigger, better,
Yeah.
and they don't care what they have to sacrifice to get it.
For me, it's a feeling I can totally relate to when you say, "Hey, this person like lost their house or whatever." For me, it's a little bit of the sunk cost fallacy, and I'll give an example, and we can go into that when it's like we talk about our biggest losses. I had this certain system for gambling roulette that I thought I had. I was talking to a guy that was like one of the smartest guys I know, studied math, has like a master's in mathematics. His brother has like a PhD, and he told me about this martingale roulette strategy. Anyways, there's like you have to kind of pick a certain amount of money to gamble. For me, it was $700, and I don't live near a casino, Texas. Gambling's not legal, whatever. I was visiting friends in Denver, and I was like, well, here's my only chance. And I didn't have a job for like a year, so I was trying to find ways to make money. And we're visiting the casino, and I'm like, dude, you guys are so lucky. This casino's only an hour away. This is my only chance to do gambling. I want to test out this strategy. It had worked for me before. I drove up to Dallas to do it. But we got there, and the freaking machine that I normally use was like gone. Like the carpet had the outline where the machine was, and it was so stupid. So I had to go gamble on this other machine. Turns out that machine had a limit on how much you could bet. I got screwed out of like $400. So I was down to like 300. And my point on this long story is you get to a point where you're down more than you expected to be, and you feel like the only way out is, well, I gotta hit this moonshot because this is my only way out. Like, if not, I have to go home. If I go home now, guaranteed I'm out $400 that I was not expecting. Or if I moonshot this, that's my only chance to not leave and be down. So you kind of like, you just get desperate that you're like, again, that's someone that's lost, let's say they've lost 20,000 and they have like another 30,000 in savings. To go home and tell your spouse like, I lost $20,000, it's easier to say, give me one more shot, because if I can fix one chance will let me fix this. You get to that point where you're like, and that's what happened to me. I could have walked away with only $300 left. I was like, fuck it, dude. This is I'm only here once at this casino. This is what's another $300 at the sunk cost. You're like, what's another $300 at a chance at being back up again? So that's what it is. Same thing with the Jinx skin. Right, it's $250 guaranteed. All right, I've dropped 30. I did that pull and I didn't hit. A part of me goes, in a week, in another couple days, what's another $30? Next thing you know, you're at $120, and then you're like, I mean, I'm already at $120. I might as well. So your brain gets in that trap of like, not. That's the thing is that loss hurts so much that you're like, there's only one way out of this loss. And it's not picking up overtime shifts. It's, roll up the dice and give me one more chance, so. That's what it is for me. It's funny you came up with that phrase, chasing losses, because that's why they say late college games and the Sunday night football game are very dangerous, because someone had all their bets in the morning, they lost a bunch, and now they're like, who's playing Monday night? Because I got to make back my money that I lost this weekend. So yeah, chasing your losses is a big, I have a gambling manifesto, and that's one of my things, is if I know if I know it's a chasing loss bet, I do not make it.
No, this is in parentheses because it's an actual term.
Yes.
It's an actual gambling term.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm listening to you, and I'm trying to kind of empathize, trying to put myself in you and other people's shoes, and I just can't feel it. It's just so like what I told you, when my mom gave it was her $50. It wasn't even my own $50.
Yeah.
I felt horrible. Like that sucked.
Let me ask you this. I'm gonna try and find something that may be similar. Maybe there's a couple examples. In League, have you ever, like, you're in a lane or whatever, you're in a fight, you didn't mean to trade. A trade being like, hey, I'm gonna attack them, I'm gonna poke them, they're gonna poke me. And let's say they got the kill. Let's say you made a mistake or whatever and they killed you. Do you not get this instant urge to respawn and then go try and get a kill on them, even though that's not the smart move, but you're just so mad that you got that loss? Like, you can't, the smarter move would be say, hey, look, I lost that trade, whatever, I can make up for it, I can be smarter on the farming, I'll be fine. But instead, in that moment, you're so mad that you died that you want to go get the kill to kind of avenge or to kind of make up for that loss. Have you never had that feeling?
That's tilt, right? You're describing tilt.
Exactly.
But because I already know, it's like if he's already better than me in that moment, why would I repeat? Because that quote of saying it's insanity doing the same thing twice, same thing over and over again, hoping for a different outcome. So it's like, okay, in that case, I need to wait, get stronger, and then wait for them to make a mistake, right?
Yeah. No, that's good.
So
and that's what I would say that's where it comes from.
Gotcha. So it's like an emotional thing, because you look at the people that go into day trading and stock trading and stuff like that. A lot of people, they try to teach you something about, like, don't put your emotions into it, and don't get emotional about the losses and wins and stuff. I don't really know, but I think that's what you're describing, right? It's like if you get emotional, especially with those traders, you lose, apparently.
Yes. Yeah. It's called you FOMO buy and you panic sell. You know, that's why a lot of people lose money, is because they buy a stock and they're like, okay, in a couple months I know it'll turn around. Well, let's say it crashes for like a couple weeks and they can't handle looking at that loss, so they sell, just worrying, is it going to crash more? And then guess what happens? Then it shoots back up, and then they buy again when it's high because they feel like they missed out. So anyways, that actually might go into I don't know if you want to jump into the pros and cons yet, but
Sure.
we don't have to. Because I was going to segue that for me, actually, not that there's many pros of gambling, but that may be the one pro that I think I've learned is, if I have a decision to make, I'll do my analysis and I'll weigh the risks, and to believe in the decision I made with the information I had, rather than live by my life decisions as, well, it worked out, so it was a good decision, and it didn't work out, it was a bad decision. I don't weigh things by the results. I weigh things now by my analysis and what were my chances of picking the right decision. My point being, like with that gambling stuff, when I had certain roulette strategies or blackjack, whatever, I went in, and let's say I lost money that day, I would say, well, I knew I had I'm throwing a number, I knew I had an 80% chance to win. I just got unlucky, the ball landed on red, there was a 20% chance that would happen. I still believe in the system. I learned how to stay cool and not just say, well, I lost money, so it was a bad bet, or I won money, it was a good bet. Because if you look at life, choosing a college major, dating, job offers, what car should I buy, where should I move? A lot of people say, well, I dated this person, but we broke up, turns out she was a terrible person, whatever, it was a bad decision. Or I bought this car, it turned out to be a lemon, that was a bad decision. the healthier way I have found is to look at it and say, well, I knew it was a Toyota Camry. It had this many miles. It had one previous owner. By all accounts, there was I'm going to throw a number, 90% chance that was a good decision. I just got unlucky. I landed in the 10%. I can't be hard on myself knowing I feel like I played the right odds. So that may be the one thing that I've learned from this, is learning how to not get emotional and be confident in the decision-making process.
So with this topic, you could say everyone's a gambling addict then, because life is a gamble. Life is all about risk taking, and we're all playing it.
I mean,
would
technically,
absolutely say-
life is a gamble. You could walk out your front door and die anytime, so...
Yeah. Yes.
Like...
Driving your car every day is a gamble. I drive over a bridge on the way home every day. I'm gambling that they inspect it and it's not going to collapse. You know,
And
I'm
lost
gambling
gas.
that. I'm gambling that to save 2 minutes on my commute every day. There's another exit that doesn't have a bridge. Why do I take
Yep.
the one where I sit on a bridge? You know?
That's the lesson, everyone here is we're all gamblers.
Yeah.
Life is a gamble, and we're not getting out of it. So unless
Yeah.
you die,
Yep.
the end.
But is that really the end of it?
Oh,
Oh, that's also a gamble.
I mean, technically, yes. If you look at faith as a gamble, you're gambling on whether or not something's going to be there after you close your eyes the last time.
I think it's called Pascal's wager or something like that, and it's the argument, some argument against atheism that's like, okay, even if you want to be an atheist, why not practice whatever, insert spirituality, religion here, to hedge your bet that just in case God exists, you're gonna be okay. It's literally called like Pascal's wager. So yeah, that's fun.
and then I like that your con is everything else. About
Yeah, everything else.
everything else is bad.
Yeah.
Just not.
Yeah, I don't know if that one small upside of life I've gained is worth
Worth everything else.
all the losing all this money, and yeah.
Just-
Luckily, like I
could
said,
Could you estimate how much you've lost just gambling in general throughout
okay,
your...
this was a fun conversation I wanted to have because that's a good question.
Okay.
The reason I have a question back to you. What are we calling a gamble? Was buying my $3,000 car a gamble? Was health insurance premium, which one I picked, a gamble? Was my college major? So what do you want to call? Depends on what you wanna call it.
Traditional gambling.
Traditional
Okay,
game,
okay,
throwing money
okay.
and hoping to get money back by
Okay.
chance.
What about some investments? If they were riskier, would we call that a gamble?
I think that's gamble. Well, isn't stock trading counted as gambling as well?
No.
I think
It is
traditional-
not considered gambling, like, in the sense of gambling. But it is gambling.
I think there's two roads. If you have only put your money in the S&P 500, I think, and like quote unquote traditionally safe stocks, I think I'm comfortable saying you are not a gambler. You are an investor. If you were doing what I was doing, which is, hey, I've got a hot tip on this stock, I really think it's going to blow up, and you put a lot of money on one stock, not really knowing what's going to happen, then that's gambling. So I think it can go in both buckets.
Yeah. Google, stock trading is generally not considered gambling as it involves research, analysis, and calculated risk management. Gambling relies primarily on chance and unknown outcomes. That is the difference.
Yeah, if I would say lifetime, not lifetime, since I would say I'm probably about even, if not up, a couple $100. That's because later on I can share, longer story, I worked for this company, I heard about this other, I had like gotten a 401k, I bought into a stock that went from $4 a share to like $64 a share, and I made like over $1,200, or I can't even remember. But yeah, so that alone, that was one of my biggest wins. That
You didn't share that with me. That's crazy.
yeah, well, the problem is it's dangerous because then you think, oh man, I'm such a good investor, and I am not. So winning is almost as dangerous as losing in that you think you're good.
It's funny you say it that way because a lot of, like, brokers won't invest for their friends.
Yeah.
Because of that same exact thing. So, my dad has a good friend. They've been friends for probably 30, 40 years at this point. But like I've always just known him as like the guy that had the nice house, the nice cars, like had everything. So when I was finally older, like I want to say I was like 20 or 21, maybe 22 when I finally asked. I was like, dude, like what do you do for a career? Like how do you have this multi-million dollar home and freaking 4 sports cars and all this? And he's like, "Oh, I'm a stock trader. Like I'm a stockbroker." I'm like, "So you made all your money in stocks?" He's like, "Yeah, like, I've invested and I invest other people's money for them and make them money and they pay me to do it." And I'm like, "So if I gave you $100," and he's like, "I won't do it for anybody I know." And I was like, "Why?" He's like, "Because I am not going to risk my family and friends' money." So he's like,
Yeah.
"I'm good friends with your dad." So he's like, "Even if you came to me in a professional sense and said, hey, like, I want to invest this $5,000, he's like, I'd turn you away. I'd give you one of my friends' numbers and have you go to them. Because I won't risk anyone's money if I know them personally." I was like, "Oh, interesting."
I
Yeah.
literally was just thinking, I think it's because it's so easy to blame, like, doing that, right? There's so much risk involved if you lose it with your friends and family. It's like they will hound you and attack you. It's like you lost my money, right?
Yeah.
Because it's really bad if you lose and then you have to pay up for losing, right? I could see that risk. I can see why he's just like, dude, I need to keep my quality of life here. It's not all about making the money. It's like I need to keep my friends and family. I can see where he's coming from.
Oh, like, I wasn't upset about it. Like, I definitely understood where he was coming from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I guess the last thing you want to do is, a good friend of yours goes, "Hey, invest this 10 grand for me," and the next thing you know, you're like, "Hey, yeah, you got $1,200 left, sorry."
Yeah. You lost $8,000. Sorry. And then you're never friends, and like you lose your family. That's I can see that. I I believe he might have lost someone before, and then that's why they made that rule.
It's possible.
Yeah, there's no. I mean, otherwise, what? Like, look at all of us. We did not think that was a possibility. Because when you said that, I was like, why didn't you just go talk to him then? And you did do that. And there you go.
Well, I more so, like, asked kind of as a joke, just to see what he said, because, like I said, I was younger, and I didn't really have a whole lot of money, so I was just like, "What if I gave you this $100? And he's like, "No. No." And then he started telling me the whole, like, story and all that, and I was like, "Okay, that I get it."
Yeah. So we're talking about all these mediums and platforms of gambling. What kind of just officially what other platforms does gambling? Because we talked about what other platforms does gambling reside in? Because we talked about video games, stocks, lottery, casinos. Is there anything other that's kind of like hidden? I mean, we talked about life. I guess we really nailed it. There's life is also, in a way, gambling because we have no unknowns. We have all the unknowns.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, video games was the only other big one that I had.
Sports.
Sports.
I mean, there's other, like, small ones, like, you could consider, like, trying to think of, like, because this wouldn't be a very practical example because not many people do this, but some people do, but with, like, jobs. So let's say I have job A and I apply for job B. Job B pays a lot more, better benefits, like however you want to look at it. And let's say I think I have a really good shot at getting it, so I preemptively quit job A. I have now taken the gamble that I'm actually going to get job B. I have known a few people that have done that. Me personally, like, I hate being unemployed because it just makes me nervous. So, like, I would never quit a job preemptively. Like, I would wait until job B was like, "All right, you're hired. This is your start date." Now I'd give job A my, notice. But I do know there's a good amount of people out there that'll be like, I'm going to get this job. Fuck this one. I'm done with it.
Right.
Yeah, even in some people will interview for other jobs just to get the offer to then take it to their current job and say, "Hey, I just got this offer. What are you going to offer me to stay?" That's a bit of a gamble because depending on your management, they might say, good luck. We didn't know you were trying to leave. You're fired. You know, or they might call your bluff and say, fine, go ahead and take the job. We're not going to give you a raise. And then now, if you really want it, now you've got to move and take the other job or whatever.
So I actually have a funny story about that one. So I had a friend a while back, like, he was in the market for a new job, and he applied to multiple places. He ended up getting one and was happy with it. Like, they gave him a good offer. Like, he took it. But then, like, 2 weeks later, one of the other ones offered him, like, $20,000 a year more. But he felt so bad. He's like, I just started this position. Like, it's needed. Like, I don't remember exactly what he was doing. Like, it was some sort of programming work. But he was like, they really need people on this project. He took the risk. Took that offer letter to his boss. Was like, so when I applied here, I applied there too. They just offered me this. Like, what can you guys do for me?
Yeah.
And the guy was like, dude, we just hired you. We just finished onboarding you. Like, we've already invested this much. Like, so they're like, we can't match that, but we can give you an extra $10,000 a year. Like, we can up your pay a little bit. Like, how does that work? And he's like, all right, sure, I'll take it.
Hey, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Actually. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So.
That's such scary. I was trying to put. I was like, I can't do that. That's so scary. What the heck? That's so bold.
Yeah.
I mean, in certain industries, though, like, it's very cutthroat, and you have to be aggressive, otherwise you're going to stagnate.
Yeah. I for the first time in my life, I had to negotiate. It's funny, because I've had jobs where they gave me a raise one day, and I actually felt bad. I told my boss, I'm like, do we have the money to be giving me? I don't think I should be getting a raise. But in my current job, not that situation. I'm squeezing them for every penny I can. And when I went on full time, it was that where it was like, they're like, hey, we're happy to have you on full time. I was like, yeah, about the pay, I was kind of hoping for this much. He's like, well, we already gave you a raise. And I was like, yeah, well, not as much as I would have liked. And, it's a scary conversation. And it's not like I had, another job offer that I could have leveraged against it. But I just had to just say, this. And luckily they met me at a certain point. So, it's a scary conversation, but if you don't do it, you're costing yourself money. That's a whole nother. That's not really maybe as much on the gambling side, but I can't think of too many other gambling, like a gambling, not just the thing that you gamble, but yeah.
All right, guys. So then, what was y'all's best time with gambling? Your biggest wins?
I'll do biggest wins monetarily and biggest win on the video game side.
Oh yeah, I want to hear the video game one.
So biggest win monetarily, and it's not even like I've never won huge amounts, but I will say the biggest win I had. So before I moved to Texas, there was a casino that my in-laws used to go to very frequently. Like, they had memberships there. You had to have a membership to even gamble at this casino. So my wife and I ended up signing up, and once a month they would essentially send you a coupon book. And it could be, anything from a free room for a night at the hotel that's attached to the casino, a free dinner, up to free money, like free play. Like, you can't just instantly cash it out and be like, oh, give me that $20. It's, they give you a little ticket and you can put it in a machine. You have $20 of free play on that machine. So the reason it's the biggest win to me is because I had gotten one of those coupons for $20 of free play money at the casino. First machine I put it into, I hit $110.
Jeez.
So I spent nothing, walked away with $110. So that's like my biggest monetary win. Video game wise, going back to Genshin. So there was a point where like I didn't spend money on it. Like, I was only playing freely. And like You say you play all the time, Emilio, so I'm assuming if I say character names, you'll know who I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
So when Yai Miko came out,
Okay.
so back in Inazuma, when she came out, I had enough pulls saved up to do 50 pulls. And I was like, that's what I'm going to do to try and get Yai Miko.
Okay.
First 10 pull, I got 2 copies of Yai and a copy of Catching.
On zero pity.
On zero pity.
Who was the 5-star you just gotten before that?
Yoimiya.
Yoimiya? Yoimiya, yeah. To hit triple 5-star
On one 10 pull.
On 110 pull. That I've still never had that, and I've been playing the game for 2 years, and I've never triple 5-starred. That triple 5-star in one on the first 10 pull after. That means that within those 2 10 pulls, that I can't even tell you how crazy odds that are. I would be jumping through the roof, dude. That'd be insane.
I sent a screenshot to my best friend. He's like, I hate you so much right now.
Oh yeah. That's the best part on a pull day when a new character comes out. Going on Reddit. Oh, people posting their triple 5-star pulls, their freaking C1 on 110 pull. Oh,
so that's the luckiest I got in that game. Because there's other ones, like, I had to go to full pity for.
Yeah.
I had to go to just over soft pity for Nahida.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my biggest ones.
Okay, I'll have to think of a couple. I really think the biggest win financially, I'd probably go with that one. Buying at $4 a share, and I just kept buying and buying. I remember it was at 30 for a little bit, and I'm like, dude, I think it's gonna keep going up. And somehow I think I sold around $60 a share, and since then it crashed back down to $4 a share. So I got out in time. I want to say I made like $1,200. It was crazy. It didn't happen at once though. It was over the course of a couple months. So maybe that's not why it felt, like that instant hit. Gambling wise, I don't have to show that one. Genshin gaming wise, funny enough, this one is maybe not as relatable. I really have to think. Most of the time, I do hit either at pity. I've never hit. I think actually maybe once I hit like 30 pulls in, but the luckiest I got, and I didn't know I was lucky. I actually bought my Genshin account. That's a whole other story, because I wanted a certain character, and I wanted to play. There's a certain team comp I wanted, but to do that you need a certain 4-star. Turns out the 4-star was not on that account already, and characters, they're only available for so many weeks throughout the year. So if you don't get them, like right now there's a character out. She's out for 3 weeks. If you don't get her in these 3 weeks, you don't have a chance to get her again for like 4 months. Sometimes it could be 2 years. Obviously the popular characters rerun every like 3 months or so. So that's a part of how they get you to keep playing. Well, anyways, you know how lucky I got. There was a certain 4-star I wanted. Do you know who Kuki was on
Kuki Shinobu?
Yes. You need her to run Hyper Bloom with Nahida, like her healing and her Electro, like she is like, you need her on that team. On the standard banner, I pulled her on a 10 pull and got her, and she didn't rerun for like months. So that was probably the craziest lucky I got on Genshin. Worst loss, I kind of shared it earlier. Yeah, that time I had it in my head. I had like $700 because of, it's not like I just wanted to lose $700. I had, the way the math worked out, you have to risk a certain amount of money. So anyways, it happened to be $700. And yeah, after losing like that 400 because that machine had a max bet that I didn't know about, and then just like rage betting the rest of it on like roulette, that was probably the worst in one day. Driving home that day, it was a very quiet car ride. My friend lost $1,000.
Jesus.
So that was a quiet, sad car ride back.
That's so much money.
See, and I can't say I've ever had a big loss because I've always capped myself at casinos. Like, I've only been to the casino maybe 20, 30 times in my life, but each time I've gone, like, my highest limit I ever gave myself was $250.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess my biggest loss could be $250 because I'm pretty sure that night I walked out with nothing. But I've always capped myself, like, before even going, I'm like, this is what I have to spend, and essentially I'm paying for my time, like my experience of, while I'm there, and I don't really consider it losses, because, like, I still had a good time, like, hanging out with friends and, doing a little bit of gambling, but I've never been, like, oh, $10 more, $10 more, $10 more, like, I know I can make it back.
Can't relate to y'all at all.
Does it count? Does it count if I've had rage on somebody else's behalf?
It's your best time.
Okay.
So Vic said no.
I'll say, because there was a time, like, I went gambling with somebody, and we went to the casino, and she walked in with, like, 100, and at one point, she was up to, like, $600.
Oh.
So I'm like, just stop. Like, stop while you're so far ahead. And she's like, nope, I'm having fun. And at the end of the night, she had nothing. I'm like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, that's brutal. I'm lucky. I know how to quit when I'm ahead, for sure. So.
But, like, she wasn't mad about it. Like, she was like, I had fun.
Wow.
I'm like, good on ya.
I can't relate to.
I'd have been pissed.
Yeah, that I can't relate to.
Okay. So we kind of talked a lot about what addiction looks like to gambling. Do we have any more ideas of kind of those little hidden details of what gambling addiction might look like?
I mean, you talking on, like, a physical level?
Just all of it, yeah. Kind of what.
Say, because
for example, like someone like me, right? I don't interact with my dad anymore, and my mom doesn't. It's not really that. So I don't really know what the little details of what gambling, like, because like drugs and smoky stuff, y'all surprised me a lot of, like, oh, I did not know that. So maybe something like that here with gambling.
one thing I've noticed, and, like, I don't want to say this is a concrete, like, this is how it is, but being at the casino, you can kind of tell who has a problem. Like, especially sitting around the tables, just in their mannerisms. Because, like, if it's somebody there just casually playing, having a good time playing poker at the table, they're relaxed, they're having a drink, they just lost $10, they don't care. But then you have that one guy at the table that's just, like, hunched over, like, just staring at the cards, and he's like, okay. Like, to me, like, if I could pick one person at that table that I would think has a problem, it's that guy, because he's just like, oh my god, like, oh, they just pulled the king of spades, like, like, to me, those are the kind of, like, physical signs you could see to somebody that would, like, in my opinion, I would guess they have a gambling problem, because they are just too into it. But other than that, like, you don't know what goes on behind closed doors. You don't know who just remortgaged their house to be sitting at that table.
And they're just trying to play it off and stuff.
The way I interpreted your question here, what does it look like? I read it as you're trying to say, maybe there is someone that's listening that's like, that needs to have a conversation with themselves. Do I have a gambling addiction? Because I had to do that. Actually, one of the worst losses I had too, and we forgot to mention Pokemon cards as a form of gambling. Longer story short, there's a thing you can do where there's card grading. So you send it into this company, they grade it a 1 through 10, right? And the higher it grades, the more money it's worth. Someone reached out to me and said, hey, there's this card that one company graded it a 9 or a 9.5. I think with this other company it could go for a 10. So I bought the card for like $500, and he's like, dude, if you regrade it, it's like $30 to grade it, and it gets a 10, it'll be worth $3,000. And he's like, worst case, it'll probably be a 9 because it's a 9.5 with this company. It'll be worth like $300. So you're gambling $200 at a chance at $3,000. It came back. It ended up grading an 8. So then I had to get it regraded just to save anyway. So that point being, that loss of I ended up losing probably like $500 made me sit down and say, you know what? Maybe I have not that amount of money killed me. I could still pay my bills, whatever. but it was enough money to say, you know what, maybe I am taking more risks, and I do need to have that conversation with myself. So, if I were to say, what does it look like? Obviously, the first one is, are you making bets above what you have already set aside? You said, hey, it's an NFL Sunday, I'm putting $50 on all these games, and now you're sitting around, you lost your 50, and you're like, okay, maybe another $10 will get me out of this. That's a sign. Thinking about it all the time. Yeah, if you can't go a month without placing some kind of bet, then I would say you have a gambling addiction. And then if you have rules and you're breaking them. So I have a bit of a manifesto, some personal rules like, yeah, no chasing, money limit, not betting certain teams, whatever. Once you start breaking those rules, that's another sign that, yeah, you probably have an addiction. It's not just a hobby; it's an addiction now.
Smoke in the live stream chat said that different companies could have different grading scales. So that could be your problem with the Pokemon cards.
Tell him it's not worth it.
Oh, he can hear you.
Some of them have the 0.5, so that was the thing. This one was a 9.5 with one company. The other company only grades by 1, 2, 3, 4. It's like PSA and CGC. I can't remember which one's which. But it was a 9.5, and it's like, well, if this is a 9.5 here, then it might be a 10 on this other one. And the difference between a 9 and a 10 is like $1,000 or $2,000 or whatever. So, yeah, that was why we did that. And it turns out now they will do it because what you have to do is you have to crack the case open, pay to get it regraded, whatever, right? Now you can send it in the other case already, and they won't charge you to regrade it if they don't think it'll score a better grade. And that literally happened like a month or two after I did mine. So I ended up losing extra money. Yeah. So anyways, that problem's been fixed a little bit. But,
Hearing you talk about it though, like Pokemon cards really are a form of gambling. Like, because even just buying the card packs, like they cost however much they cost. You're gambling on the fact that there could be a card in there worth a couple $100.
Yep, I did that for a couple months. There was this Pokemon store shop at some mall, whatever. That's a funnier story that anime, Pokemon, weeb stores are taking over the skeletons of malls across America. I think that's hilarious.
They kind of are.
Yeah. There was one, the Wonderland Mall in San Antonio. Do you know it?
I know of it. I haven't been there though.
Yeah, Wonderland Mall, it's nasty. There's this old pizza place. It smells terrible. There was one store where if you hit this certain Charizard, not only did you get the Charizard, you also won a PS5. So I went in there and I think I bought like $50 worth of packs. So yeah.
Smoke brought up Magic cards, Magic the Gathering.
Oh yeah.
That's just as bad, man.
Yeah, trying to get the one ring. So yeah, Pokemon, yeah, trading card games are definitely.
But you bring up those shops. That is another form of gambling I have taken part in. So there is as you called it, a weeb shop over on Bandera in San Antonio.
Affectionate term. Where is it?
Over off Bandera.
Bandera and what?
Bandera and Grissom?
Okay.
It's called the Otaku Cafe.
Yes, I've been to that.
I frequent that shop. It's blurred, but behind me there are figures. I am a frequent of that shop. I get my figures there. Every month they have like they'll pick a show or an anime, and all the figures they have from that they'll put them up like with a bunch of different merch, and it's like $10 or $15, and you buy a little like packet, and inside the packet has a letter A through like F. If you get A, it's one of the figures, but if you get F, it's like a sticker.
Yeah.
So it's like $10 or $15 per.
I'm surprised
like little pack
because that could be. I think that you can call it legally in Texas. You call it a raffle, but yeah, practically they could.
It is. They call it is a raffle, is what they call it. But like my wife and I used to go there probably like once a month, twice a month, just to kind of browse what they have. And each time we'd go, we'd get something small, or I'd walk out with another figure. We would always buy at least one raffle ticket. Last time we went, my wife bought the raffle ticket and she got the fucking A. So she got the big figure. I'm like, no freaking way. The best I ever got was like a D. This is bullcrap.
Then you start going back, and then you start.
Haven't been back since then.
Hey, that's good. So you're not addicted. That's good.
Well, no, I lost my job, so I don't have extra money.
Hey, that's see, and when I didn't have a job, that's what made me gamble more because it was like I have to make money somehow, you know. So, anyways,
Might start with some Pokemon cards, though.
I'm telling you, I would say don't go down that road unless you know. The people that gave me those tips were people that knew. And when I went to the Pokemon shop, the guy looked at the card. He's like, dude, he's like, this level of card, older cards, they grade harder because they're out of print already. Like, had I known all that ahead of time, I wouldn't have made that gamble. So, anyways, you can learn a little bit about it. But
Maybe. We'll see.
Vin looks like.
I can't relate. I mean, I get the appeal. You know, just trying to keep it as well as possible, sending it to the company and letting them grade it and seeing what you get back. And that's a good gambling platform because you can make a lot, right? You make hundreds of dollars if it's
If you can go around to different trade shows and you see like my cousin he knew it and he looked at that card and he knows like, dang, that card that looks like it's about a 9 right now. He's selling it for 10. A 9 goes for this much money. If it's gonna cost me this much to grade it, like he would know. He knew he was still taking a gamble, obviously, but yeah, if you know that world, it definitely toes that line of gambling and investing.
Yeah.
So for me, I didn't care what the card was. I was like, if I make money, I make money. I don't care the medium.
So, if y'all were addicted, well, Jeff, you said you've never been super addicted, but Emilio, kind of go into how did you break the addiction when you were kind of getting deep into it?
Yes, this was probably the question why I was so excited to do this podcast and what I felt like if I had something to share, this is what I felt like I had to share and why I want to talk about it so much. Because for me, it was realizing like, okay, I think I have a bit of an addiction. Why and how can I get out of it? I will say I'm a spiritual person, and I realized, again, what I was chasing was a quicker and easier path to financial freedom. Because my hope being, my life hope is just to be someone that when I wake up every day, I can work on things I'm passionate about. And currently with my life, my job is definitely not the worst job in the world. I have a lot to be grateful for, but there's other ways I'd rather be spending that time. And I can't help but look at, hey, obviously like everyone else in the world, if I had the finances, I would not be at this job. I'd be spending my time doing other things. So that's to say that's what I was chasing. And I spent a lot of time, and a lot of people do this. It's called the FIRE movement, financial invest, retire early. I can't remember. Obviously people know, hey, just make a lot of money when you're young. Don't spend a lot of money. You can retire when you're 35, 40, whatever. I then spent a lot of time thinking about this. And the realization I kind of had was, well, if at the end of the day, I do feel like I'm called to do something, and if I feel like God has that plan, then for me, I'm Christian, if I were to look at the Bible, finances are probably one of the last things that God will highlight as a path to living out the life I'm called to live. So I kind of realized, yeah, it's silly of me to think that financial freedom alone will give me the freedom to feel like I'm not just stuck at a dead-end job, but I'm doing what I feel like I'm called to do. That is what finally broke my gambling addiction. Not 100%. It's still something I have to work on every day, but I don't take those wild bets anymore because I realized, yeah, God's not waiting for me to hit a certain savings goal so I can just walk away from my job and now I can go do comedy or writing or whatever else it is I want to do. That there's a reason I'm at this job right now. or I have to work it all in general. Like you said, there's things I can learn and grow from in this time. And it's not like until I hit that magic number, then God will say, now you can live your happy, fulfilling lives you've been waiting to live. Yeah, that this is all part of that journey, and the finances will work themselves out eventually. Um, so leaning into that hope, leaning into that mindset is what helped me realize I still have to be prudent with my finances. I still have to be smart. I still have to, save money, live within my means, all those things. But going for these moonshot bets that are going to help me make enough money to retire early are probably not what God is hoping for me to do. So that kind of broader realization and mindset is what kind of got me finally out of that addiction.
Nice, man. Yeah, I remember Colin giving me, he told me a quote was, his quote was, God, finances never got in your way before when you follow God's callings, you listen to his teachings and stuff like that. So why do you let it dictate? It was specifically with dating at the time, but it
Right.
applies everywhere. It's just like, why would finances dictate how you live your life? So it's like, okay, you're right. Why do I have to wait until why do I need to wait for my finances to be ready to get better at something or to work on something? It's like, that's just excuses. It's like, you can make those decisions. If you really cared about something, you're really truly passionate, then you can go do it with disregarding finances. So I like that. I like that a lot. Jeff, did you have to break an addiction? Did you stop yourself at any point?
No, like haven't really been a big frequenter of casinos. Like I said, I've only been there, been to them a handful of times, and I've always set like a hard limit. The biggest problem I had was when I was big into Genshin. Like I was playing every day, and every time a new character came out, I always tried to get them, and I was spending $50-$60 just buying the gems to do more pulls, and it finally got to the point where I was like, all right, like I'm spending 3-4 hours a day playing this game, and I'm spending all this money. Like it's become too much, and there's always going to be more. So I had to just take a step back from it, and then never went back to it. I still have it installed on my computer, like it's still logged in, and like I can go back to it and play it any time, which eventually I will, because like they keep adding new areas. Eventually the game's going to be done, and I do really enjoy the story, and all those aspects of it is a really fun game to play. I just had to stop myself from spending more money on it. So that's like the biggest gambling addiction I had, was that game specifically, and then to combat it, I just eventually was like, you know what, I gotta stop. Like, I can't keep spending all this money, and there's better things I can do with my time.
How would y'all teach your kids or show your kids gambling?
Wait till they're old enough to gamble. I think gambling being targeted at kids is horrible.
Yeah, and it is. Like we said, with gacha games, with Pokemon cards.
I won't lump Pokemon cards into that, because kids aren't buying them with the expectation of, if I get this specific card, it's worth a ton of money. Kids are buying them because they like Pokemon.
But they are trying to get that specific card. Maybe not for the money aspect, but they're like, hey, can I buy another pack? Can I buy another pack? You know?
It depends. Some kids, they're just buying it because it's cool. They're not
Right.
for a specific card.
Like,
What about
if they're
Chuck E.
looking
Cheese?
for a specific card, like, yeah, that, I guess, but most of the kids that I know that have Pokemon cards just think they're cool and collect them.
They're just playing around with
What
them.
about Chuck E. Cheese? Do you feel like that? Some of those games are a little bit of gambling.
So, the games that are gambling, like, the roulette wheel they have, where it's literally you pull a lever and you have a chance, I would say remove those, but like keep in the games that are
Yeah.
games, like, you know,
Yeah,
skee
the
ball,
skee-ball, the
basketball, stuff like that. Like that stuff's great, but
hoping you knock the other coins off to. It's like, what are we
though
doing?
coin dozer, those I'd say steer clear of those because there's no skill to it. It's not a game. It's chance.
Chance. It's gambling.
Like targeting stuff like that at kids, I think is a horrible thing to do because it gets them used to gambling. So when they get older, they want to go to the casinos and buy lottery tickets and things like that. Like, and in the video game world, loot boxes, gacha games, like I don't want to say those need to be age restricted, but they kind of need to be age restricted because it's ridiculous. Like, and I guess you can't even look at like all video games like that though, because like there are games that don't have gambling that kids are spending tons of money. Look at Fortnite.
Yeah.
All the stories you see of, you know, kids stealing their parents' credit cards to buy freaking V-Bucks.
Yeah. Man, what would I teach my kids? I really don't. I think you have to treat it the same way you treat, you know, smoking, alcohol, where I hope I'm the first exposure to them with it, and I hope I can show them how dangerous it can get, you know. Because the worst case scenario is that, you know, you never let them see it, and then a friend shows them Genshin, and next thing you know, they took your credit card and they didn't realize they were spending hundreds of dollars. So I think you have to expose to them the idea of it. And I don't know how you make a kid see the harmful downsides. I don't know. That's a good question.
I mean, I guess you can preemptive it and just teach them responsibility, like give them that limit. Like, you know, if I had a kid and he got into Genshin and was like, oh, I want to try and pull for this character, I'd be like, all right, here's $30. That's all you get.
Maybe part of me thinks, okay, because there used to be people don't do this anymore, with the old terrible stories of they caught their kids smoking, so they make them smoke the whole pack so they get sick. Maybe you do some, like,
That's
you know,
crazy.
yeah, you never heard that? I've heard of that. That's like an old-timey thing that they
When my parents caught me smoking as a kid, they just took the pack of cigarettes and ripped them all in front of me, and they're like, there you go, you just wasted money.
Yeah, I guess so. But part of me thinks you could do some horrible. This would be a terrible idea. But you like take them to. You couldn't take them to a casino. No, I think a kid can like watch you. I don't know. You like lose money on a lottery ticket, and you pretend like you guys got evicted, and now you guys go live in a motel for like a couple days.
That is extreme. That is extreme.
That's what I'm saying. It would be terrible, but I don't know how you would simulate how dangerous it can be. I don't know how you simulate. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I don't know how you get the danger across. You know.
Ooh. So here's what you do: you give them an allowance.
Yes.
And whether it's weekly, monthly, however you decide to do it, give them the chance to gamble that allowance. Just pull out like a D20, or if you don't have a D20, like just a regular 6-sided die, and be like, all right, pick a number, and if it lands on that number, I will give you double your allowance. But if it is any other number, I'm taking your allowance back.
Yeah.
That's how you teach them.
Not only that, take your allowance back for the year. Just like, yeah. I don't know. Yeah, there's ways.
I think I would approach it with how kind of my family, they just didn't expose me at all. It's more so I think I would just teach them the value of money, because that's where I got out. Like, that's why I'm so scared of it, is because it's like, oh, I understand how much $50 is. So it's like, I already said I'd implement them working at home doing chores, and they'll get $1, $2, and they can spend that money however they want. And that makes them grow up like, oh, okay, this is my money, this is what I worked for, and so it's valuable, you know. So I think I wouldn't even just bring it up, because, and then if they get into contact with them, and just start talking to them about it and exposure. But I don't know if I'd ever preemptively say anything about gambling.
I think that's kind of what Smoke's hinting at in the chat. Give them a prepaid debit card. and be like, you've got X amount of dollars on here, and you get to choose what you spend it on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Okay. Lastly, what advice would you give to people struggling with gambling addiction?
I mean, it's all mental. Like, because unlike, drug addictions, you'll have a physical compulsion to continue doing that drug. Your body craves it. Gambling addiction is a purely mental one, in my opinion.
I think it's no. I'd be curious. I would, not to interrupt you, but I do think there is a dopamine in the same way social media people would say is a dopamine addiction. I think gambling is a dopamine addiction too, and in that way, it's your body addicted to dopamine. So
Yeah.
I think it is a
Yeah,
is a
okay.
drug addiction.
I guess if you look at it that way, yeah.
Yeah, I would if you count dopamine as a drug. And anyways, I would that just as a small side note to that. But
Yeah, that's one I don't know really how you could combat it though. It's like looking at it from the mental aspect, just you have to tell yourself you can't keep gambling. Like you have to essentially stop yourself and make a decision to be more financially responsible. But if there is like that physical like dopamine crave to it, like I don't know how you could really combat that. Besides replacing it with something else that's healthy?
if I'm like, okay, I'm thinking I really would say I have a horrible addiction and it's costing me livelihood, relationship, things like that. I really think the only thing you can do is have a strong accountability partner that, and I've wanted to do this with certain people in my life, not that they have a gambling addiction, but a spending addiction, where I want to make a deal with them and say, I'm going to give you a prepaid debit card. You get this much money every month, and that's the only. You don't have access to your bank account. You just have someone in your life that you trust enough to hold all your credit cards, your debit cards, and to just cut yourself off from having any sort of access to it. That may be. Again, we're going extremes. I don't know. If you feel like you have a mild one, yeah, having an accountability partner, having certain rules and say, okay, I know I can gamble this much, and knowing once I start breaking that, okay, I need to go to someone and go to someone about this. There's like gambling hotlines now. It just depends on to what level you're saying that their addiction is, but yeah.
It's definitely a more difficult one to combat, in my opinion.
Yeah, because of the ease of access and it would really require like having someone you trust and saying, okay, here's my debit card, my credit card, all my bills are on auto pay, I'm gonna get this much money a month or just cash, and this is the only access to money I have. You may have to go that extreme. I don't know.
I have nothing. I don't know.
You got nothing?
I mean, if there was, something that really did work, then I would have been able to help my dad maybe, but
it's probably like any other addiction where it takes some level on the person to check themselves into rehab, to, you can't just, that is the hard part of having people in your life that have addictions, is you can't, at some point they have to make some of their own effort with it too, You can only put up so many side rails.
Okay. Anything else we want to talk? Anything else we want to say?
Yeah, that was a bit of a downer end on. We need a high note.
I have a strong urge to go buy a pack of Pokemon cards.
I have a strong.
Right after this episode, right after we end.
Right after we end, I'm gonna go buy some
We're all
Genshin.
pooling to go pool.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
All right. So this was gambling. Next week we'll be talking about social media addiction. Jeff.
All right. Don't forget, we do have our Discord server. It is the Brothers Bonfire. If you're wanting a community or a band of brothers that are going through similar experiences as you, then come join our journey and take a seat at the bonfire. Our Discord link is in the About section. It's even below the stream here if you scroll down. And all are welcome.
Along with uploading on Wednesdays, we also stream the podcast whenever we record. So come hang with us after the podcast. The stream is a safe space for anyone to just chill, hang, and chat about anything. Take care, guys, and thank you, Amelia, for guesting.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
And thank you, Smoke, for always the commentary. We love it. All right, bye, guys. Okay.
Bye, Smoke. And anyone else that might be in the chat.